I think Tom's being a little modest in the sense that this guy was out there building all of our furniture by hand with volunteers. Because we had a ranch, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, it takes place at a Texas ranch. We rented this big, massive ranch house that was being renovated, and we couldn't afford, weekly rentals on this, period furniture. So Tom goes to Home Depot and starts constructing furniture by hand and builds all the furniture that's pretty much in the movie by hand. So that's, what we had to do with our budget.
I find it amazing that it's, maybe it looks a lot bigger than it is. It's a film that I think a lot of these films, you guys, by being very smart about how you spend your money, you've made movies that, if you walk in a Blockbuster and you pick something off the shelf, you don't care what it costs. Ultimately, it's a movie, and you hope you're going to get something for your money for 2 hours. And I think you guys have all embraced that aesthetic. What are you guys working on? Are the three of you going to make another film together? Are you each going on individual projects? How are you following up
the Signal directors, the three of us working together is kind of unique to the universe of Terminus, which is sort of our Middle Earth that we created. That's this fake city or the imagined city for the Signal. So all the stuff that has to do with that is like us together.
Okay.
Right? We all have these individual movies that we make because we all have very different styles, as a lot of people have noticed from watching the movie.
So are you gonna continue to work in this vein, like in the indie world? Or are you looking to? Is there something that you have in mind that's a bigger scale, or are you looking for something larger like a larger canvas to paint on?
I don't know. The last year has been kind of like eye-opening. There was, as I'm sure, it's the idea that the indie movies, nowadays it's like all the indie distributors are sort of dropping away, and it's a really tough time to make indie movies. That Mark Hill guy released that article talking about how if you make a movie for less than $5 million, you're 99.9% sure to never get your money back. And so it's kind of like, but the idea is that if you make it and you have your own financing and you make it yourself and you make it for $3,000, you make it $50,000, you make it for what have you, then you have the creative control. The tough part is that no one may be able to see it. So it seems like the studio thing is more like you maybe are more guaranteed for, it'll help your career a lot more, and you maybe could get bigger and better jobs down the line, and more people may see your movie, but you may not have as much creative control unless you get lucky and have a real relationship. So, I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, and I've worked on both sides of the fence, and I think it's very difficult to make something in the studio world that you're personally invested in. I know that you guys, your first studio picture, Quarantine, is a remake of Wreck, the Spanish film, and it's a great film. The original is like one of the truly scary films from the last five years, and so you guys kind of had your work cut out for you. When they showed you this one and they asked you to come on board, was there any hesitation in doing a remake for your first sort of studio gig, or was this, you saw this as, okay, well this is what we have to do to get into the studio system?
It was, we didn't hesitate for a second. We saw, they actually hadn't finished their film yet, so we couldn't see the original film. We saw the script and we saw a promo piece they had done. They cut together like a short trailer. And we saw the two of those and we were like, oh my God, this would be like, it's like this is made for us, And so we jumped on it. We came up with, we rewrote the script, and we showed up to our first pitch meeting like with storyboards and location photos and ideas for how to change the plot in certain ways, and we showed up guns a-blazing. We wanted it, and we were lucky to get on it.
I think remakes are generally tough to do, but I think it being our first studio film, it may have been the perfect first studio film for us, because I think people doing their first studio film might get in trouble when they're making a different movie than the studio's making it.
Right.
They're not totally on the same page. The nice thing about doing Rec and how good Rec was is everybody wanted to make something very much like that, and that, so we were all on the same page from the get-go, and it was a good way for us to, put one foot in the studio world, and then, our next movie would be, another indie film, so it was a nice means for us to get us to bigger budgets, really.
Now, obviously, some of these films need you guys studio meetings. Some of the films are probably a little harder to get a studio meeting with. What has Popsicle done for you in terms of awareness? Have you met with people who have been excited about the film and want to work with you on something?
No, it was really cool. Like as soon as we did our premiere in Rome, and then we played at AFI Fest here, immediately there was a lot of interest. Like you know, we were picked up by a sales rep company called Wild Bunch, which is a great company from France, and they put out this press release calling me like next Darren Aronofsky or some shit like that, but you know that kind of thing, you know, it raises eyebrows and you know agents and so forth's eyes, you know, and so you know I was able to you know hit up like the big agencies and stuff, and I ended up signing with an Endeavor, and had a great manager too, Mr. Jeremy Platt was here. Oh no! But yeah, and so like yeah, I've been doing like the whole meet and greet thing, and so far it's been great. I've met a lot of really cool people. I was actually surprised finally, you know, getting the room with these, you know, all types of different levels, you know, on the ladder of executives type of things, and I was really surprised at how many people really, you know, really on the cutting edge of what's good and what's not, you know, and like, you know, I had a lot of people, you know, like bring up movies like, you know, Signal and Paranormal Activity and stuff. You know, they're telling me, you know, if you haven't seen this, you should go check it out. You know, and that was really cool to hear. You know.
Now with Paranormal Activity, you've played Screenfest. You've played a couple of dates, and it's a film that doesn't have a huge awareness yet. Do you know for sure yet what's going to happen with the picture?
We have some idea, but I'm not supposed to talk about it.
Okay.
When we have something to announce, you'll hear about it.
Okay, but you're making decisions, and something's going to happen with the picture.
Pretty much, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. It's certainly a concern. You know, like I said, all of these are films that are worth tracking down. If you have not seen them, they're all films worth seeing, and definitely voices worth hearing. If there are any questions here, I'd like to go ahead and give you guys a few moments before we run out of time. If there's absolutely. If you didn't hear the question, he said that the Dallas evidently shoot very short days, 8-hour days, and let people go home at night. And how do you pull that off on an independent budget?
8 hour, those are the good days. We definitely go longer than that often, but we you know, especially with low budget stuff, there's just no margin for error. You just can't, you know, you start going over and you just start hemorrhaging money you don't have, and it hurts other scenes, other, you know, parts of the movie, post. You know, we ended up, you know, doing most of the post in my apartment for Poughkeepsie, and you know, I think there's little margin for error, and so you just pre-plan everything you can think of, from, you know, what possible weather elements could get in your way to what if the actor refuses to, you know, do, you know, this or that, or, you know, it helps to cast off awesome people like Stacey Shabosky's here, who plays Cheryl Dempsey, the lead in Poughkeepsie Tapes. Yeah, I think pre-planning like crazy helps a lot.
Yeah, that helps. And one of the things we tried to do on Poughkeepsie was get key personnel that was you know, that were better than we could afford in order to convince those type